Monster collecting games always give me a feeling of nostalgia, with the new Pokemon Let's Go being no exception. I love the feeling of trying to catch them all, and games like Pokemon give a lot of incentive to do so, with enticing goals like becoming a master of many monsters or the very best trainer, making doing so seem genuinely exciting. Pokemon games are wonderful, and we're supposed to be getting another one sometime in the future, but there are other great monster collecting games if you want to try another series or you've already caught them all. So these are some monster collecting JRPGs to help you keep scratching that monster collecting itch in a new way. It always feels a little wrong mentioning a Digimon game in the same breath as a Pokemon one, but they're probably my favorite monster collecting games, so it would be wrong not to mention them. While I'm pretty sure Pokemon was my first step into monster collecting, I continued a lot of my monster collecting journey on PS1 with Digimon World, and its monster raising systems give me the same kind of nostalgia as Pokemon does. The original Digimon World starts by giving you a Digimon that you'll raise, with doing things like training it, feeding it, and taking it to the bathroom, determining what it digivolves into and how far you can get it to digivolve before it's rebirthed into a new egg. These games feature a lot of inspiration from the Digimon Tamagotchi style devices that were popular at the time and spawned the series, except with a story and RPG style battles and many more monsters to collect, and did a great job at combining everything into something I got a lot of enjoyment out of as a kid. While I'd love to recommend the original Digimon World I played in full, or the third one I enjoyed too, they are PS1 games that are probably hard to find. But this isn't much of a problem these days, as there's the newer Digimon World Next Order game on PS4 that takes many of the things I loved from the original Digimon World games and gives them modern graphics, along with letting you carry 2 Digimon instead of 1. I've only played the first few hours of Next Order in Japanese, but felt the nostalgia as soon as I saw Digimon again and got given my Digi-Eggs, so I recommend this to anyone who likes the caretaking and monster development aspects of monster collecting and may also happen to be a Digimon fan. You might have noticed in the title that this video is actually a collab with a fellow JRPG YouTuber and Australian called JRPG, that you may know well if you enjoy watching JRPG content here on YouTube. Mid-November we met at the Pokemon Cafe while he was in Tokyo and decided it could be fun to talk about more monster collecting JRPGs together, which is the video you're watching now. Here's a little intro from him so you can get to know him a little better.
Hey everyone, I'm Jay and I play a lot of JRPGs and a lot of Japanese developed games in general. Content is kind of up in the air at the moment, but if you're interested in news, reviews, guides, sneak peeks, and probably a million other things I'm forgetting, you could mosey on over to my channel and hopefully you like what you see. And now, I'll hand you back over to JRPG Jungle.
So before we get back into the list, make sure you check out part 2 on his channel to hear 2 picks from him and 1 more from me, and here's his first one right now.
I was transported to a faraway land, into a world where monsters rule.
If there is one pick for this category that manages to feel nothing like a monster collecting game while also having pretty much all the elements of one, it's Monster Rancher. I guess it's because once you've got a monster that you like, you'll pretty much stop collecting, or in this case generating new monsters for quite a long stretch of gameplay. See, Monster Rancher is all about bringing prestige to your ranch, and you'll do this by training a monster and pitting it against other monsters in tournaments. Every now and then you'll get to enter a special tournament cup that will increase your monster's rank. You start at E and your goal is S. The higher you climb in the ranks and the more fights you win, the more famous you and your ranch will become. Perhaps the most interesting thing about Monster Rancher is the way you get monsters. It depends on the version of course. There have been Monster Rancher games on the PS1, PS2, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance and DS. There was even an ill-fated mobile game at one point, but what I'm most interested in talking about here are the PlayStation versions. There are multiple different ways you can get your hands on a monster. You could simply go to the shop and buy one, but they are very basic and it's quite a boring way to get a monster. The far more interesting way is by generating one. In the various Game Boy games, this was done by simply entering a random word or combination of letters, numbers and symbols and seeing what gets spit out. But on the PlayStation, you would initiate the generation, then the game would tell you to pop the lid and remove the Monster Rancher disc, then put another game or CD in the console, wait for it to spin up, then take it out and put the Monster Rancher disc back in. The game then generates a monster based on the data it read off the other disc. It sounds cumbersome and rather silly nowadays, but back then it felt like I was in some technological utopia. If you weren't happy with any of the monsters you generated or bought, you could always chuck them in the freezer and perform a little fusion. Once you've got a monster that you like, the gameplay is somewhat passive. You select a training regime and it plays out automatically. You choose what to feed your monster at the start of each month and you sign up for tournaments. Battles are fairly passive as well, and even though there is an option to issue commands, I found the option to just let your monster fight by itself equally as effective, or ineffective in some cases. I remember getting to a point where I had the Phoenix, a legendary monster, basically the god of all monsters in the Monster Rancher universe, and I lost a fight to a giant eyeball hopping around on a tentacle called a Suazo. I promptly removed the disc from the console and snapped it in half.
World of Final Fantasy was one of my favorite monster collecting JRPGs for many reasons when I first got it on PS Vita years ago. Its skill trees make it possible to develop all the great monsters you may know and love from Final Fantasy into useful ones to stack on or under protagonists Rain and Lan, who are always full of funny banter. And the cast of amusing characters old and new is something that fans of Final Fantasy who enjoy a more lighthearted story are likely to appreciate, although it's not also without surprising plot twists for those who like a deep story too. What's great is that now is a fantastic time to pick up World of Final Fantasy for Switch and Xbox One for the first time, with its new Maxima edition that adds extra minigames, new characters, and avatar change system so you can put popular Final Fantasy characters into your stacks, and a new secret ending. And it's also available on PS4 and PC as DLC as well. With great skill trees that make collecting monsters feel like a deep process, many transfigurations to allow you to train your monsters into different forms, and all the amusing moments with characters from old Final Fantasy games and the hilarious new ones, World of Final Fantasy is a must if you like both Final Fantasy and other lighthearted monster collecting games like Pokemon. Thank you for watching this video. Let me know in the comments below what monster collection games you love, and don't forget to check out part 2 on JRPG's channel for the rest of the JRPGs included in this list, and he also has other enjoyable JRPG related videos too, so go check out his other videos as well. And if you happen to be coming from his channel to mine to watch this part 1, I really appreciate you stopping by and giving this a watch. Whether you're new or not to my channel, you can always like and share this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to my channel for more JRPG content like this, and ring that bell to get notifications on whenever I post so you don't miss a thing. You can check out more videos here, or you can check out the blog at jrpgjungle.com, and you can find me on social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all at jrpgjungle. Links to those will be in the description below, along with links to part 2, JRPG's channel, and everything mentioned in this video. Until next time, thank you, bye!